I ask you, what's the process from bid request to back costing, what would be your answer? Well, on today's episode, I'm going to show you what I do and how I run a highly profitable, high-performance business. Enjoy.
How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Business of Builders podcast. My name is Max, I'm your host. Thanks for being with us. Welcome to you if you're in podcast land, welcome to you if you're in YouTube land. My name's Max, I'm your host, and we're going to try and deliver some steak and potatoes as usual. Today, real special, we've got TikTok Live in the room. Welcome to all these folks who are hanging out with us in the TikTok Live room. As usual, we're going to try and give you something that's you can take away, tuck under your arm, go and build a better business. And before we get started, like and subscribe. If you have got some questions, be sure to drop them in the comments below. And certainly, the other thing, get across to Business for Builders VIP and on Facebook. Now, answer the 3 questions. If you're a good sort, I will let you in. It's very quarantined. I want to make sure that it's just builders and contractors and even apprentices. If you're an apprentice, Mr. and Mrs. TikTok, Miss and Mr., make sure you get across there and just answer. Let me know what you're thinking about as far as some of those questions, and I'll let you in. And it's a good little forum where people can just ask questions and hopefully get some answers and build a better business. Okay, today behind me is bid request to back costing. So what you don't measure, you can't improve. What you don't manage, you can't improve. And so today, what I'm going to quickly share with you is the process behind what I think is, what happens is, as builders, we run out there and we're super involved in getting to the client, ringing, talking to them, getting a site visit, running out, getting a quote, right? And in getting a quote, obviously we want to, we've got to put the bids together from different trades and different scope. And so in doing that, we create our budget for the build, and then we add our markup, and then we present the proposal. And so I want to just fast forward that whole thing a little bit and bring it home and basically, pretend that we've got the job, okay? And obviously with few projects on the go at the moment, I am doing exactly this. So this is not kind of just theory, folks. This is actually what I do. And so, the reason behind it, and this is where, for me to stand here for the next 20 or 30 minutes and, chirp on about back costing to, bid request to back costing, it won't make any sense to you. It won't resonate with you unless you understand why it is. Now, if I was to chat with one of my elite business advisory clients, one of my builders, and I talk to them about knowing their numbers, okay, it's super important that they understand the financial dynamics within their business. So we all get excited. We just signed a 7-figure contract to build a 2nd-story addition, okay? Very exciting, but it goes from being euphoria to, oh shit, hopefully we didn't miss anything, okay? And you're going to go through that. You're going to have the same experience that I did. It's not something that you just go from euphoria to euphoria. There's this gut-wrenching thing where you go, shit, I hope I didn't miss anything, okay? Now, if you're in the audience and you sort of have felt that before, where you're excited about winning the job, and then all of a sudden you realize, well, did I get the job because I was the cheapest? And that's always a concern. So we want to make sure that, I think if you're a young builder, and I've had meetings this week with some builders who have talked to me about the EBA Young Guns / Coaching on Demand program that I've now launched. And it's like, Max, I've just started, or I'm about to start. I want to launch my business in 12 months, and I want to make sure my ducks are in a row. Okay, and so I think that's bloody awesome, because those individuals, for whatever reason, either feel in themselves, and it might be a mixture of both, they feel in themselves some level of inadequacy because they know they're good at building, but they just realize that there's something that's amiss as far as the business goes, or they've seen other good builders that have maybe not been successful, and they go, I wonder why that is. And I've done the same thing because I know a bunch of good carpenters, good builders that just can't put the business together. Now, just let me share real quick. It's funny. We've just started this job a couple of weeks ago, and we're about to pull the roof off this week, and it's a big deal because we're in September, end of September, and we're worried about the weather. Of course, we don't want to flood the house, with the roof off, And it's interesting because I was conversing with the client on text message today. He said, "How's it going? Is everything copacetic? Is everything in order? How's it doing?" And I sent him back a bit of a quick text message and said, "Look, this is where we're at. Roof's coming off. Floor trusses, because we're getting some 24-inch floor trusses getting made for it. They're going to be on site midweek next week. Framing is going to be there either this Friday or Monday. We're going to place an order for windows, which is probably, I don't know, $60,000, $70,000 worth of windows. That order will go in either tomorrow or the next day. Everything is going well. And so because the client and I, obviously we negotiated the payment plan, the progress payment schedule on the contract. He was saying, well, and he's 12 hours drive away. So he's in the next province, the next state, if you like. And so he said, well, the check will be in the mail. Now, that's an indication that as a builder, I have got a rapport with my client that is such that there's a high element of trust. And of course, there's an understanding between us that obviously if he pays on time, I keep pushing hard and make the job happen as quickly as I can. And so, that's all fine and dandy up front when we've got six-figure checks coming our way. But what we're going to talk about today, and I need to get on with it because otherwise everyone's going to go to sleep. We need to really get after it and just talk about at the beginning of the job. So understand this, to give you some context. If you don't already know, I have a business partner and we have a very synergistic relationship in the business because he is very good on the tools. He doesn't want to come anywhere near the office, and I am too old to put a nail bag back on. So that's how that works. And he doesn't want to really do what I do. So, it's my job to do all of the sales and the contract administration and the project management, et cetera, like things that are very much office bound. And so, what I am doing in real time right now is that every time there's a bill, whether it's for a bin, there's obviously dump fees that go with that. Anything in the way of materials, framing, obviously just placed an order for some floor joists and trusses. And what my job is to make sure that as we go, we're watching the budget. And so today I'm going to run through obviously 7 stages that I pay attention to as a builder to make sure that the process, because it's adhered to in such a way that we can keep an eye on where there's an overage or where there's an under. And in some cases already, we've had good overages where we've really, we've had areas in the budget where we're actually under budget, and we've also had a couple where we're over budget. So we're not having a great time, but things are going okay. Right, so if we're talking about bid request to back cost, so I think we all go about getting the bid request. We're like, hey mate, I need a quote. You're a plumber, give me a quote. It's like, okay. You're an electrician, give me a quote. You're a plasterer or a gyprocker or a drywaller, give me a quote. That part of it's fine. But what we don't do is we don't then follow a system. Now, we don't follow a system all the way through. Now, if you're a guy and girl or a guy or girl who is building, but you don't have a method or a system to be able to assist you in this process, then you're never really going to get it. Because to do this manually is definitely, it's a lot of logistical challenge, okay? And so what we're trying to do is work out that when we win the job and we have, let's say, a gyprocker or a drywaller for, 30 grand, what we want to make sure is at the back end, he at least finished the job for 30 grand for his scope of work. Now, if we get his quote, let's say, and he comes under budget. Now, I'll share with you this, okay? So we just won a 7-figure contract, okay? Second story edition, big deal. Well, for us anyway, okay? Now, to get that contract amount, and it's a renovation plus it's that second story addition, I probably got, I think, one quote. I got a quote for floor joist system. At that stage, we didn't realize we're going to go to steel. Floor joist system and roof trusses. And we quoted and we won that job. And so, you know, remember that I'm 35 years in the game. I was born in 1973, okay? So that's going to give you some context. I started my apprenticeship in 1989. So there's a lot of experience and there's a lot of things that I've done wrong that have helped me get to the point where I can literally present a quote to a client. Some might say irresponsibly because I didn't go out, we didn't run out. However, Jed is my business partner and we talked about the different line items of the categories. And so what I've had the pleasure of, and if the guys are listening, some of my EBA clients, they've seen that estimate in my JobTread because I share with them what I do. See, as much as I'm a business coach, I was a carpenter first and I was a builder second, and third, I was a business coach, okay? Today, I still run a building company. Now, I've had clients that operate building companies that do more revenue than I do, Mazel tov. But the majority of them certainly do less than $1 million a year, okay? So, you know, we've got to understand that you sort of hear what I say, and whether it's this episode or another episode, and you think, oh, I want that tomorrow, and you're 25 years of age. I would beg you, I would plead with you, please be patient. Because it was only yesterday. I got married when I was 22, seems like yesterday. We've been married for 30 years as of August this year. Okay? So be patient, okay? Just let it come to you. Be diligent, be a good student of the game. And if you are 25, now remember, if you're 25 and you got a builder's license, it took you 4 years to get a carpenter's license. It probably took you 2 years to get your builder's license. Okay? So that's 6 years you've been at it. Relax. If it takes you 6 years to get your shit together where you're a very good builder and the owner of a very well systemized building company, it's worth it. You'll only be, 25 and 6 is 31. Relax, Turbo. I'm 52. Shit, I wish I was 25. Okay? So, I need you to let it come to you because you can only punch so much into your head as far as all of the stuff that we talk about and we learn. It just takes a little bit of time for it to sink in. So relax. Every time I start with a new client, whether it's a full-time client as an EBA client or whether it's a coaching on demand for a 90-day program where I say, hey, let's see what we can get done in the next 90 days. Either way, it takes both of those builders a similar amount of time to really, digest the information and to make changes. Okay. So I'm getting the hurry up signal from my video guy. Right, so here we are. Bid request, okay? That's the first thing. So if you're not familiar with that, basically I sit at my desk and I go to JobTread and I grab the floor plans and I outline some scope and I say, there you go, give me a quote, okay? That's a bid request. Okay, the second thing there is where you have a look at the range of bids. And I would suggest that you talk to the subcontractors if you don't already know them. If you've got a very good rapport with those subcontractors, great. You can make a decision fairly quickly. Right, the third thing here is where you've approved the bid request and you've issued, a purchase order. Now, some guys that I speak with, especially those in the coaching on demand, the EBA coaching on demand in brackets, young guns, there's a tendency, because it's so early on in the piece, to not have project management software, and that's okay. I just bring it to their awareness. So when I'm talking to my coaching on demand guys, I show them. Now, if I'm speaking with a builder that's been in the game for 10 or 15 years, 20 years maybe, they've normally got some software and it's already happening. So I just peruse that and we talk about, what they've got in the way of systems. But when you're brand new and you're part of that, EBA Young Guns / coaching on demand, in some cases, they're still doing quotes on a piece of paper. Now, if that's you, that's okay. but I would call you up and say, hey, think about, how it might change your life. Yes, it probably cost me a couple of $100 US, so it's kind of like $240 per month. But there's so much more flexibility, especially when it comes to bid requests. But as far as Gantt charts as well, creating selection sheets out of your estimate, all those sorts of things, that's how it can help. Right, so up here, we've said to our, whichever trade, whichever vendor, we've said, hey, you're approved, here's your purchase order. Okay, the next thing that happens is the vendor invoice comes in. Okay, so this is giving you a little bit of a workflow. This is borderline an SOP, guys. It's like, all right, how does it work from bid request, to back costing, right? You as a builder needs to be thinking about this, okay? So we go from the vendor invoice, so it comes in, it's received. The next thing we do there is we approve it. Now in my system, when that invoice comes in, when I approve the purchase order, I would expect that purchase order then will become an invoice at some point. So when I approve the purchase order, when the invoice comes in, I approve the purchase order and I convert that to a bill. Now this is in JobTread. I use JobTread. I think there's a link in the show notes. Get down there, watch some videos, familiarize yourself. Now, if you're in Australia and New Zealand, okay, maybe JobTread is not for you. If you're in Canada, if you're in the US, I've had clients in the UK that use JobTread and seem to be doing very successfully. I don't see any reason why you shouldn't get some success out of JobTread in Australia and New Zealand. But there's other companies down under as well, such as Build Exact and Wonderbuild. Okay, and Builder Trend. I mean, I've got a buddy of mine in Brisbane who builds maybe 300 townhouses a year. Mick uses Builder Trend. He swears by it. Okay, so it's really whatever works for you is the most important thing. Right, so we've got vendor invoice. We approve it. We convert it to a bill. Okay, the next thing we do there is we start back costing and we do line item analysis. Now, if you're an individual running your company and you're like Jet, he's out there pulling gyprock down and pulling out kitchens and all kinds of shit as it relates to demo, he's not the guy who's concerned about any of this line item analysis or back costing. That's my job. However, I like to go to Jed and say, mate, this line item where we had this much budgeted, well, we've come under budget. Now, I don't like going back to him and saying, hey, mate, we're over budget, because that's bad news, okay? However, back costing and line item analysis is basically where you bring it all together. So in the beginning, when you're putting together the budget for the build, okay, when you're putting that together, you're kind of like hoping that, well, if I've allocated X amount of dollars for a certain scope, that we come in at the money or below the money. Mazel tov, right? In the event that we are over, that's a problem. Now, that brings me to my next, number 7, okay? Continuous improvement. We will go out the back of this job come, 8 months, 9 months from now, whatever it is when we get finished. And of course, through the whole process, because we have the estimate laid out and we're able to look at the numbers as I place orders for floor trusses, for roof trusses, for framing, for plumbing, electrical, for gyprock, HVAC, everything that goes into this renovation, we're looking at the bid request that we got here, and then we're looking at the POs that we issued that ended up being a line item that was the actual cost, and we're saying, okay, where did we do good and where did we do not so good? And that's about continuous improvement. And so if you want to run a high performance, highly profitable business that does make more money, that gives you more lifestyle, then this bid request to back costing is absolutely important to the success of your business. Because if you do a really bad job at building the budget within this, and you do this line item analysis and you figure out, boy, my understanding of that scope of work was here, but in reality it was up here, then at that point you can give yourself a little micro kick in the pants and go, well, I need to do better next time and allow a little bit more money in my budget instead of being desperate trying to win work because of its price rather than what the actual cost was. I lose jobs all the time to homeowners. Why? Because I'm pricing to build a business where there's other guys, truck and ladder guys, chucking a truck. They're all about just making a paycheck to pay their rent, and that's okay. But I know this, the higher I go, as far as the contract values, once I hit $500,000 and above, the competitors that I face, two things. There's less of them, okay? And those guys that I'm competing against are not lowballing, okay? So if you're saying, well, Max, I would love to have $1 million contract like you. Well, if you're 25, I'm 52. So I've been in the game since 1989. So I guess you're going to have to be a little bit patient. The more you learn, the more you earn. The only difference between you and me is the fact that I have probably made a few more mistakes and I've learned from them and I've not let them get me down. So guys and gals, I hope that helps you. If you've got any questions, email me, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com. If you'd like to sit down and chat with me about either full-time coaching or EBA, Young Guns / coaching on demand, we've got a different approach there, then get across to elitebusinessadvisory.com, hit the book a consultation button, come and talk to me, and no strings attached. I had a guy here yesterday. I gave him a good amount of time, and hopefully, it's really helped him out. So get across to Business for Builders VIP on Facebook. Like and subscribe. If you've got any questions, drop them below. Other than that, have a great day. Go build a kick-ass business. See you in the next episode. Cheers.